episode 330 of Global from Asia podcast. This is our 7th year, and we are talking Amazon Japan with the Japan guy, Nick Katz. Let's tune in.
Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business is broken down into straight-up, actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
Happy birthday to Global from Asia. It was actually last week, but hey, October 2013, we started this show as a Hong Kong business podcast. A lot's changed, of course. Amazon, e-commerce, cross-border trade. You know, a lot of people say we have no focus, but it's about Asia, international business, kind of like not the normal stuff you might see in the normal podcast world. And we are recording this on video right now. It's trying our best to be innovative and upgrading the style we do these shows and putting this into the video format. Today's guest, we have Nick Katz, the Japan guy, Brit in Japan for 25 years, if you can believe that. And he's Amazon seller, 7-figure seller. And he's also really, really kind and generous with his knowledge. It's really unbelievable. It's a really valuable show, and I'm really happy he agreed. Actually, I've met him many, many years ago, and I'm really glad finally got him on the show. Of course, Global from Asia has to have the Japan guy. So let's tune in. We really hope you enjoy these shows. It really means a lot to us just by watching or listening, subscribing, giving comments, sharing. But if you want to go above and beyond, we have gfavip.com, our private membership, where you get insight, access to some of these live sessions, also some private sessions we never actually put public at all, and our community, and just really supporting what we do. If you'd like to learn more and apply, it's an amazing opportunity. gfavip.com. We are upping the game here. Actually, do you know this is 7 years of Global from Asia as of tomorrow? So the 21st of October, 2013.
Congrats.
So yeah, man. And one thing we're trying to do is engage more people with these. You know, of course, we could have just done this like on a private Zoom or Skype or something, but we're trying now to upgrade our game. So there's live chat in the chat. This is also on Facebook. And yeah, thanks, Zach. Thank you, everybody. So you know, we have an outline, and like Nick said, this could go on for you should make a course. Honestly, we were talking before the show, but
I should, but I won't.
You won't.
I'm too lazy. Everyone tells me I should do a course, but I am too lazy. But it's fine. People can just hit me up for stuff. So.
Sure. So let me. So you're the Japan guy, but you're actually not. Catherine was saying in the session, she thought you would be Japanese, but you're British, and you've been in Japan for quite some time, right?
Since 1995, so 25 years. So way too long. So if I tell people in Japan how long I've been in Japan, they say you should go home by now. I mean, just get out.
So how did you get there? What's the quick story?
The really quick story is when I finished university, I wanted to take a gap year before starting work, and I came to Japan for 1 year. It's a job, and the job paid for the flights and things, paid for accommodation. So I came out for 1 year, and it's been 25 years. So that's nice. The short story. Similar.
It's not 25 for me, but similar. I, trade shows in China, and then felt like I should stay a little bit longer. Yeah. 6 months, a year, and now still here.
I think after actually someone told me in my first year that if you stay for 3 years, you'll probably stay for a very long time or for good. I think after 3 years, then it starts to kind of become where you live as opposed to somewhere where you're visiting.
Got it. So. Catherine's asking in Japan or any country. I think that might be true for. I've heard it's similar for China, but I think anywhere outside your home country, right? Or anywhere in life, even another city, another part of, town. If you're happy there, and if you willingly stay there for 3 years, there's like a time test. So
yeah, if you're there for 3 years, I mean, there must be, Yeah, I mean, you obviously like it, or there's something going on for you. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously not the same for everyone. But I know a lot of people who have said the same thing after we've talked about this. But Yeah.
Okay, so your name Nick Katz, the Japanese the Japanese
The
guru,
Japan guy.
the Japan guy, and we actually did meet quickly in Hong Kong with Chris Davey, a little get together, which was awesome. And I remember, you were always in a lot of WeChat groups sharing your knowledge and experience. You're always so accessible, and I'm really happy to finally get you on the show, Global from Asia. So you're a seven-figure seller in Japan, selling mostly in the Japanese market on Amazon, would you say, or?
Yes. So I started mainly selling. So in Japan, I do sell in other markets, but in Japan, I started on Amazon. But I do have a history. I've been in retail for a very long time in Japan. I used to have my own brick and mortar store, and I used to distribute. So after being on Amazon for a couple of years, I have also moved into distribution, got my products in some of the big box retailers in Japan, and I also sell on most of the other marketplaces or the bigger marketplaces, and obviously my own site as well. But I did start on Amazon Japan, and that's still definitely my main marketplace.
Awesome. And so there's so much to cover, like you said, and it's, we'll try to do about a half hour, which is going to be really hard. But I think for listeners, people want to try new markets, try new channels. What's the pitch for deciding Japan or not? Like we always see it in groups. Should I sell in this market, that market? What's the sales pitch, or what's the opportunity in Japan?
Well, I mean, there are lots of things you can do to kind of distribute your risk. So, for example, if you were to sell in one marketplace, let's say America, because obviously that's where a lot of people are selling. If you sell in America, you can sell. It's obviously risky to sell one or two products in one marketplace, but you can just start selling more and more, different products, just in case, because products have a life cycle. There is a possibility of products having an issue with, IP infringement claims or accounts or listings being suspended for periods of time. So I thought it would be a good idea to sell, as opposed to doing lots of different products, to sell on different marketplaces. So that's just one option you have. You can have more products in one marketplace, or you can kind of start to sell on other marketplaces to try and spread your risk. So if you're selling, for example, in the US and you want to sell in another marketplace, normally people would go and sell in the UK and then Germany. The third and fourth largest marketplaces in the world, Amazon marketplaces, are UK and Japan. So if you're already selling, for example, in Germany, UK, and America, then Japan will be your next logical fourth marketplace, because those four, America is by far the largest. Then Germany, UK, Japan are quite similar in size, but they are vastly bigger than all the other ones, like, France, or people say Australia. Australia's, there are lots of very, very small ones. So Japan is one of the big four. So on the Amazon reports, their annual reports, they show the sales every year for America, Japan, Germany, and the UK. And all the other countries go down as rest of world. They don't even break those out. So, so if you want to sell on four marketplaces and you're not selling on Japan, then you're not selling on four marketplaces. You're selling on 3.1 or 3.2 marketplaces. So it's just a logical step. So that's one thing. It's a big marketplace. And the other one, I mean, personally, I find it to be the most profitable marketplace for a number of reasons. I find there's less competition, there's way less returns. PPC costs are much less for the products that I have sold in other marketplaces as well. It's not, obviously, there still are products that will be very expensive. If you try to sell Bluetooth headphones in Japan, it'll be as expensive as anywhere else. But generally, costs are lower, competition is lower, competition is inferior. The domestic Japanese sellers aren't very sophisticated, so your main competition will be, not most places. Your main competition in Japan will be Chinese sellers, but your main competition in America would probably be good American sellers as well. But there aren't very many high-level Japanese sellers.
Okay.
So those are some reasons why you probably would want to look at Japan if you were looking to sell in another marketplace.
Got it. Let's go. Well, I know, I'm trying to be thinking of the people watching, listening, tuning in today. You're in Japan, right? You speak Japanese, you've been there 25 years. So obviously you have a really clear advantage. Like somebody listening today, it's pretty overwhelming. Is there a company set up, or can you do cross-border? There's the duties, there's the language barrier,
There are barriers like that, but that Amazon is the same everywhere. I mean, Amazon Japan does have a few less features than Europe, and Europe's got some less than America. So there are, but essentially Seller Central is the same. The whole process is essentially the same. So when it comes to language, obviously language is a barrier, but so I actually have higher sales in Germany. I make more money in Japan. So I do sell a lot in Germany, and I don't speak a lick of German. So the whole language barrier thing, I just do not, I don't believe that's a barrier at all. I actually do the PPC for Germany, and I do it, I think, pretty well. I've been there, selling there for 3 years now, and I've got very low ACoS. And that's not without, and I don't know the language at all, because just look at the data. And it's kind of better to not know the language. I do have a part-time German VA who helps with responding to customers. So like Japan's a different language, but it's the language is never a barrier. I don't think that's a good reason. And I find Germany a lot better than the UK. I find that the UK has got a lot of competition just because I think it's mainly American sellers want to sell there because it's English. But the German marketplace is way bigger and way better. Well, there's definitely a lot more chance there to make, well, the profits definitely higher than the UK because of the language barrier. So Japan is definitely a big step from that as well. As in, if you've got a product that's a good fit for Japan, you're probably going to make a lot more money for a lot longer because everyone thinks that it's a barrier, and it's not.
Got it. All right. Which is good. Catherine's asking, I'm not sure, Catherine Chen, she's saying, will the product need to be different to sell in the US, UK, or Japan? I don't think so, as long as it's able to be imported and sold there or...
Yeah, so that's kind of a difficult thing. I mean, I kind of have found that there are very few global products. So things like Bluetooth headphones they'll be, the number one or certainly the top 10 selling products in probably every single marketplace. They're very ubiquitous. Everybody needs them. But usually for most products, there will be a cultural reason why a product will be more popular in one country than another. So even between America and Japan, there's lots of cultural reasons why there's lots of products that wouldn't sell as well. Americans tend to have bigger houses, for example, bigger gardens. I mean, the weather is not as good in the UK. There's lots of things that would mean it's very difficult to sell exactly the same product everywhere. And that definitely goes for Japan. So there are some products that would sell very well in all marketplaces, but normally for Japan, you'd probably either want to have a different variation of the product you're selling, or just you definitely need to look into whether it's a fit for Japan or not. And I find that the biggest problem when people want to sell in the smaller marketplaces like Japan, or the same for any other one outside America, is that because the marketplaces are smaller, if you try and sell a very niche product to get, your 10, 20 a day in America, you're not going to get very many sales a day. So normally you want to have a slightly higher level. You want to kind of go up the category. You don't want to niche down. I say niche up. You want to kind of go back. You don't want to go down to the subcategories because you're not going to get enough sales. So if you've got a product that's doing like 20, 30, 40 a day in America, that's probably going to be doing 1, 2, 3 a day, or maybe not as well. It could do in Japan. So you need to have a product that has a bit more of an appeal because of the size of the market's different. But that's the same for every marketplace outside America, basically. If you start in America, you're kind of screwed because your way of thinking is kind of wrong. If you start in Europe, you'll probably find Japan a lot easier because it's the same size or bigger for a lot of the markets. So it does depend where you start and how you think about these.
Makes sense, though. Makes sense. Yeah, we've had some others in the community talk about, they started in the German market. They're trying to go global. The other fear, though, if you start in a local market, your other market competitors might enter your market. So sometimes it's better to be aggressive than defensive, right? So you could, rather than waiting for them to come to you, you go to them. They be offensive rather than defensive, which is another way to think about it. So it's still the same FBA. You use FBA Japan. You send your stuff there. They take care of everything.
So everything's the same. Everything is the same. FBM is the same. FBA is the same. The whole system, everything is the same. There's been a problem with in Japan. You've always needed something called an importer of record, which is a company. You're not allowed to send your products directly into a fulfillment center. But recently, there's been a big crackdown with the customs office, and they're not allowing people to use IORs. So it is a bit more difficult to get your products into Japan. It's basically, you don't want to go directly into a fulfillment center. You want to go to a company, to a warehouse, and have them send it on to a fulfillment center. This is a very new problem. I did a video yesterday or 2 days ago with another guy in Japan I've got a Facebook group. He's got a Facebook group. We did a video call about this. And there's a video on both of our pages that kind of, I just went through and explained what the current problem is and how to get around it. There certainly are ways to get around it, but
we can link it up in the show notes and talk about it more later. But so, I think that's happening everywhere in the world. The trend is going that way. I mean, I think, I don't want to say it's gray, but even in the US, people used to try to have logistics companies as importers, and there's also liability with the importer of record in any country. They're the ultimate. As it says, importer record means if there's a product liability problem, if there's a quality problem, a question, anything that goes to, that's who they look up. That's who they call. So
the IOR is ultimately responsible for the product. But there's been the reason for the current problem in Japan. It's a lot of it is because of a crackdown. We think it's probably because of the Chinese sellers who aren't paying tax. So they're kind of trying to get their tax. So it's kind of. I'm not going to go through it now because that's a whole huge.
I think we all get it. I think it's similar in Europe, similar in the US. Whether it's a Chinese seller or any other international seller, it's that's the whole point of, I guess, the whole trend is things are getting in this direction. Things are the gray or the, the policies, the procedures, the red tape, or the correct way is getting more and more required to be done. Just generally, it seems globally.
Things like barriers are going up so that governments can get tax money. Seems to be a thing as well. That happened last year in Germany, where they kind of, even if you had a German VAT number, you don't have to have a VAT number unless you've got 100,000 euros in sales. They added this new VAT, this new tax requirement that you had to get a VAT registered to get this other number and register that in Amazon so that you could sell. It was stupid. It was so people had to get VAT registered even if they were under the threshold. It's just to get money. Basically, it's happening in the States. It's happening everywhere, right? They realize that Amazon, there's a lot of money that can be made from Amazon sellers.
Yeah, well, with the rise of e-commerce and governments getting more desperate for cash, it's inevitable, right? It was something we were all maybe getting away with for too long. If just kind of more on this procedures, trademarks, brand registry, IP kind of stuff. Generally, same procedure.
Yep, that's the same thing. So if you've got brand registry in another marketplace, you can transfer your brand registry to Japan. I tend to transfer my brand registry a different way. Most people seem to be reapplying in each marketplace, but you can just basically give yourself brand registry in another marketplace, so you don't actually have to reapply. That's not a process that's required. Anyway, if you have it in one place, you can get it in another. If you've got a trademark in Europe or America or somewhere, you can use that and to apply in Japan. That's not a problem. So if you wanted to get a trademark in Japan, you can do that as if you actually wanted to apply for a trademark in Japan, you can do that, and you need to do that if there is an infringement claim. So you can use your trademark in another country to get brand registry if you want to have a bit more
Enforcement, maybe.
Enforcement, then you're going to have to get a trademark in Japan, and it's not that difficult. It's not that expensive. It does take a little bit of time. It took me about, I can't remember now, like 6-7 months. But my UK ones, I got those in, less than 2 months. So it's not that hard. It's not that expensive. You just got to Google it and you'll find someone in. It is harder to find service providers who can handle English. But if you Google in English and you find a company that has a website that is in English, then they will be used to working with foreign clients. I obviously don't need to do that, but that's one thing, there certainly will be people, and they'll probably be in Tokyo as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question I get a lot, is English-speaking service providers in Japan. But yeah, I mean, I guess the English, there's not as many English-speaking, just like I think we've talked about it in my experience too.
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, I kind of do know why, but in Japan, the level of English is really, really low. It should be a lot higher. They study English as long as, they study for many years. But I suppose English people are absolutely useless at French, and we study for the same amount of time. But Japanese are really, really bad at English, generally awful. So many companies don't speak, but they will. If you Google in English and you find a website that has English on it, that means there's a reason for that. They will have staff that will handle it. So it's okay.
Okay, great. And also, if people have questions, you're here live, and we're also going to have some live chat after for the people in the air meet. Just keep that going. So I would assume, everyone always thinks about product launch, reviews. I guess every PPC. So it seems like what you already said is it's less competition. PPC is easier. So it seems like you don't have to stress so much about launching there.
Launching. Well, the launch process is the same as everywhere. There aren't really any rebate companies. I've certainly never used a rebate company. It's not as easy to do rebates in Japan. There is a tax reason for that. And also another problem is that Japanese people generally don't use PayPal. So it's not as actually easy to rebate. You'd have to use something like Line so generally that's not really done. But on the flip side, you don't need to have products don't have as many reviews. Even very, very high selling products don't have as many reviews as they would in other marketplaces. So you don't need as many reviews. So you only really need, if you got 5, 10, that's generally more than enough. So, and you can always, if you want to kind of do it the slightly gray way, you can go on there are websites you can go to, or you could go to things like Fiverr. You'll find Japanese people that will do it.
Got it. And just a shout out to Zach Franklin he's sent a chat. He also runs Panda Leap, which is a European launch service. And he says he's tried to do a launch rebate service. He says it's really hard, impossible. So, So I guess I'm curious to know why. Maybe that's another show. But I guess you don't need to stress about it. It seems like you don't need to stress about it too much. Like 5 to 10 reviews shouldn't be too. You
don't need as many. Actually, Catherine has got a very good question here.
Sorry.
The Japanese use Facebook social. Yeah. So that's actually quite an interesting question about Facebook, because Facebook exists in Japan. People use Facebook in Japan. You'll find that most Facebook users in Japan use Facebook because they've got foreign friends. Japanese people don't tend to use Facebook as a rule. Japanese people do tend to use Instagram a lot. So I do a lot of Instagram advertising. I find Instagram to be incredibly effective. And if you want to do any promotion in Japan, use Line. Line is where it's at. That's a whole kind of That's a big long discussion we could get into.
Yeah, I mean
about.
that's kind of like a lot. That's another marketing. I mean,
But
today it's more
definitely
just
Line. Look
knowing where to
into it.
even go. Yeah, just giving people just saying Line is helpful. I mean, I have a Line account. I think
Yeah.
I haven't installed in a while, but yeah, it's basically like the number one chat app in Japan.
By far, it's like you will never find anybody who's not online. You know, from a 10-year-old to a 99-year-old, everybody is online. It is incredibly ubiquitous. It's amazing. If you meet anybody, you'll exchange line. It's brilliant. Japan has focused all on this one app, so it makes it so easy. So I have line lists. We just build line users as opposed to building email users, and you can build line really, really fast. And if I send out something to my line group, like a sale, like I did last weekend, I mean, it just crashes. I've got a really good site and a really good server. It still crashes it because there's so much people, click and go into it really, really fast because it's mobile. It's like, as we use WeChat. So definitely look into line if you want to do promotion in Japan. That's really where it's at.
Got it. Great. And then another one from Zach, but it's not really about Japan, but just about the chats. Instagram just did announce an API opening up. So ManyChat will be going with Instagram. But yeah, that's not really about Japan specifically. And then Catherine's asking about email. I think email is probably not so popular in Japan, right? Like it's
yeah, okay. So email. So we have email lists. I try and keep my email list as clean as possible. So I keep it above 50% open rates. So I do use email a lot. It is useful. There is a specific problem with Japan in that everybody uses smartphones, and most people use a smartphone email. And a lot of the smartphone emails, people use email formats that you're not allowed to use, as in finishing with a dot before the at mark, which works between phones, but it doesn't actually work if you try and send somebody an email. So that's one problem. Another one is one of the largest services is called Docomo in Japan, and you cannot send an email to somebody who has a Docomo account. They won't receive the email. They have to accept the domain before they can receive an email. So it means a lot of people won't be received. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. So on all the email forms that we've got on our websites, we have to keep on reminding people, if you're using a Docomo email address, put in our domain so that you can receive the emails. It used to be really bad at the beginning. We get a lot of complaints. People would fill out the warranty form. They didn't get the email back because they're using Docomo. So there are a few things you've got to kind of, but no, email is still good though. Email is still useful. We use it a lot.
Great. This is really amazing. Thanks again, Nick, for sharing all this. I think about five more minutes or so, and then we'll go into our smaller table. I saw Catherine also mentioning in the chat, but besides Amazon, obviously I'm going to mess up the name, Rakuten. And there's many other channels. I think you also mentioned it when we're preparing for the show. Amazon is one, and what would you say is Amazon versus the others in Japan? Like, is it
okay? That's a very, very good question. So, in many countries, like for example, America or probably UK, Germany, Amazon is by far the largest. And I go and speak generally every year in Germany, and so I'm very, very aware that countries like, for example, France, or in fact, lots of European countries, there are other marketplaces or other online stores that are as big, if not bigger, than Amazon. Everyone thinks Amazon's the biggest everywhere. It is not. And in Japan, Amazon's main rival is Rakuten, or Rakuten's main rival is Amazon. They have about 30%. They've got about 15% each. And although Amazon's getting bigger and bigger every year, and Rakuten's getting a little bit smaller, the products that sell on Rakuten are completely different there are Amazon products and there are Rakuten products. And some products are a better fit. If you want to, for example, clothing, Amazon sucks. Food, Amazon sucks. Rakuten clothing and food and supplements is absolutely amazing. And also higher priced products. And certainly products north of about $70, $80, you want to start looking at Rakuten. And the reason why Rakuten, although the site itself is horrible, it's the worst shopping experience ever, and I avoid it as much as I can. Japanese love Rakuten because everyone's got a Rakuten credit card. Everybody goes when they go and fill up with petrol, with gas at the gas station. They use their Rakuten card. They get points. Rakuten points are everywhere. They're in people pay. There's so like Rakuten is everywhere in Japan, and it's those points, and that's the reason why people use the site.
Great.
So you definitely need to look at both of them. So I'm on Rakuten and on Amazon. They definitely have their advantages. The PPC platform is just horrible on Rakuten. They only started a proper PPC last year, and it's the worst. It's the worst advertising platform I've ever had to try and use. It's ridiculous. It's so awful, but it's definitely going to get better. That's for sure.
Got it. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, we're in 2020, and COVID has really accelerated e-commerce. I'm assuming things happened in Japan.
Yep.
It's a question from Catherine too, but I guess just in general, like, what I don't know, you might not have the stats or the numbers, but what do you think is a percentage breakdown of online sales, offline, e-commerce versus retail?
I can't. Yeah, I don't know what those are, but I can tell you that retail is very, very strong in Japan. It always has been, and it always will be. There never was a lockdown in Japan. A lot of stores in Tokyo did close down for a few months. I moved a lot into retail at the end of last year, and that was obviously affected. But retail is still very, very large in Japan. There are a lot of chains that people just go to. People go there as a day out, kind of like. I mean, I've talked about this in other things. Places like Costco, for example, that's a day out. Going to IKEA is a day out. Americans will just think it's the funniest thing. Like you just go to Costco to do your shopping. In Japan, going to Costco is an event. Okay.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people, the shopping malls still do very well here, the Aeon shopping malls that you get in China, right? That's obviously a Japanese company. So retail is still great. It's brilliant for a lot of products. There certainly has been more of a move to offline. How far, I don't know, but I would expect store retail to come back strong. And people are out shopping a lot in Japan. As I say, there isn't a lockdown. There's the infection rates of COVID are very, very low. So it is a different market,
Okay.
It's a different market.
Great. So Catherine, we can talk in the networking after. And okay, yeah, we'll add some. I'm also figuring out the format of this call. So we have some great active people. Let's invite them on stage just for the end, this last end. If they have a couple questions, I'll do that. So for those on Facebook, this is we're doing this on an online platform for people in the GFA VIP community, and I'm inviting Catherine first. I'm learning this software. We're all learning. My last main tech question is Japanese website. Do you need a Japanese website for this? Yeah, I guess either for your brand or for customer support or expectations or for sales or any of that.
Well, you don't need a website any more than you need a website anywhere else, but you want to have a website, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, the website is your home base. Yes, you definitely. Okay. I mean, I would recommend a website. You don't have to have one, but I'd certainly recommend having one.
Got it. Okay, yeah. I brought Catherine up. Zach didn't join. So we're going to go into the networking stage. I think unless Catherine, do you want to say anything on the last for the Q&A? Catherine's in London.
I'm fine. I'm happy with all the answers that Nick provided. It's very interesting to know a new market.
Yeah, thanks. The last thing, just for the people on Facebook or live or for our recording, is how can people, connect with you, find you on the web?
Yeah. Okay. So probably the easiest way. I do have a website that I haven't been updating, but you can contact me through there, and it's thejapanguy.jp. It's very easy to remember. Japanguy.jp, not .com. That's a different guy. So if you go to thejapanguy.jp, there's a contact form there. You can contact me there. You can contact me at nick@thejapanguy.jp. That's probably the easiest way. I've also got a Facebook group called Amazon Japan PL. Okay. It's been going for like 4 years, since 2016. And that's kind of a good place. If people ask me questions a lot on Messenger, and I ask them to ask it in the group, just so that when I reply. But it's not a very active group, to be honest. But but it's still a good way to contact me if you've got any questions.
Okay, I'll sneak in the last question from Zach, but I think we're going to go into the table mode for those in this live session. But he's asking about like licenses for websites or servers. I think just China, right? Mainland China has IC. You have to get licenses and approval, but I don't think there's anything like that.
No, you don't need any of that. No. You don't need any. No, you don't need. No.
All right. So for those, don't go away if you're on this. We're going to go to table mode where we can jump around and to connect a little bit. Again, thank you so much, Nick, for sharing. It's really great. I'm glad we finally made this happen. It's been on my list for a while. And let's keep, really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Mike. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. We're going to go into table mode. We're bringing it back. Loadpipe.com, our group buying from factory direct platform. A little bit of a break after this whole PPE and the pandemic and everything, but people keep asking, both on the factory side and on the importer seller side, where's Loadpipe? We want some more products. So we're working on bringing it back. We're going to integrate that into our content. We're going to have live demos of different factory products and things happening. Stay tuned for more, and I look forward to sharing with you. Loadpipe.com. Thank you so much, Nick, for sharing. I hope everybody enjoyed. That was actually using our live streaming setup. Now we're doing these we invite our GFA VIP members on. We stream this on Facebook. We're trying to stream it on more places. We're doing video now. Of course, audio originally is where we started audio 7 years ago. There's lots going on. I hope this was fun for you. And I'm open to always feedback. We're trying to make this better and more impactful and really get our community together even more. So thanks again. Subscribe if you're on iTunes or YouTube or WeChat or Himalaya in China. So wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying this. We're trying to put this to reach as many people, help as many people as we possibly can. So thanks again. See you later. I'm Mike Michelini, host Global from Asia.
To get more info about running an international business, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.